Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. It's Matt, it's Christy, it's Alonzo. Tim Burton is back.
Yay!
Yeah.
He left.
Yeah, good point. With Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, a YA novel adaptation.
Yes, okay, so I took my son to this movie. He's seen a lot of movies. This is not his first go-round. As we're walking back to the car after the screening, he took my hand and he asked me very sweetly, "Mommy, what was that about?" I had a really hard time answering that, because the short answer is, it's X-Men meets Groundhog Day. But the longer answer is really complicated and has this dense mythology about stopping time and creepy creatures and eyeball eating and magical kids with powers that they don't want who have been ostracized from society. It's really hard to get through. Take a look.
Come with me. There's a place I go when I want to be alone.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new world coming. This one's coming to an end.
How did you?
Air. It's my peculiarity. If I show you the rest, you have to promise not to run away.
There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free.
Jake, right on time. Miss Peregrine, delighted to meet you.
He's invisible.
Of course. We're what's known in common parlance as peculiar. Claire, why aren't you eating?
She's embarrassed in front of Jake.
Don't be.
There's a new world coming.
Because our abilities don't fit in the outside world. We live in places like this,
There's a new world coming.
where no one can find us.
Jake, come and play.
I knew you were one of us when you were born. It's time for you to learn what you can do.
But I'm just ordinary.
No, you're not. You were born to protect us.
Promise me one thing. Look after them, Jake.
I promise.
There's a new world coming.
I didn't explain that very well. I
Well,
apologize.
nor does the film.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's one of these really complicated movies where, like, it's constantly explaining itself, and yet it's still totally incomprehensible.
Yes, and it's
I
like
didn't find it to be that
No.
incomprehensible. Come
What's
on.
it about, Matt?
It's about a guy whose his grandfather's been killed. Turns out his grandfather, all of the novelty pictures that his grandfather shared with him are actually real people and kind of magical and kind of supernatural, and there's people out to kill them, and this kid actually may be one of them. Like,
Okay, that makes it sound like a fun adventure. And the irony
thought it
is
was
that the kid says, played by Asa Butterfield, who was a kid in Hugo, who
Right.
like, there's
And
just
Ender's
nothing
Game.
to the, I'm sorry?
An Ender's Game.
Yeah, there's nothing to this character,
No.
but he supposedly wants to be an explorer, although he would seem to lack the requisite get up and go for such a calling. He's sort of just a drip. He's just, I mean, and of course he has to be our straight man because everyone else is so bizarre.
Yeah,
and,
but
you know.
there's nothing going on with that character. Yeah, the whole movie, I felt every scene is either let's explain a bunch of stuff, or let's very pointedly not explain something because it's going to come up later. So we're not going to tell you yet this thing that you need to know. When I heard about this thing, I never read the book, but just from the title, I thought, oh, okay, this is because I was thinking it's sort of like X-Men meets Edward Gorey, you know, and I was like, all right, I'm down for that. And Tim Burton, this is supposedly his wheelhouse, or it would have been in the past.
It would seem to be tailor-made.
And there
for
are a
him, yeah.
few moments of like prime Burton, just like a little girl with monstrous jaws in the back of her head, or like these creepy little not real stop motion, CG stop motion moments. I was like, okay, this is old school Burton. Like this taps into his obsessions that are interesting if you like his films. But it's just such a slog. I felt this movie feels like it's 5 hours long.
It's over 2 hours long. It's like 2 hours and 7 minutes.
There's no joy in Mudville. I mean, it's just it has no spark and no life to it, and it just I found it unspeakably dreary.
Yeah, there's exactly one scene. It's a big battle between these skeletons and these giants that are after the kids.
They look
whatever.
like the Slender Man. Like for those people that know what that is, like that's kind of what they sort of look like.
The Hollows do. I don't know what that is.
No, yeah, it's a thing.
There's
the kids know what it is.
Right. There's exactly one scene. It takes place on an amusement park boardwalk, and it's this like stop motion animation looking battle, and that's like, okay, now we're watching a Tim Burton movie. Like now finally there's a little bit of fun and there's excitement to that. But otherwise, it looks dreary, and part of that's intentional because it takes place in Wales and it's very foggy. Bruno Delbonnel shot it, who also shot Inside Llewyn Davis. Mm-hmm. Yes, so it's pretty, it's beautiful. But
yeah, I mean the period detail for the 40s is nicely done. I mean the outfits that the kids wear in the house is really cool.
Colleen Atwood, costume designer. Yeah, so Ava Green gets to be vampy and wear these gorgeous gowns.
Yes, and have a cigarette holder or whatever.
No, it's a pipe. It's a pipe.
Pipe. You're right.
She's
Sorry,
quirky.
a pipe.
She smokes a pipe.
I didn't hate this much as you guys did. I thought it was like it's fine for a like look, this is one of those movies that it's better than watching a blank wall for 2 hours.
I don't know. I might go for blank wall.
Come on.
Not sure.
To me, like, the story is a little bit hard to follow and doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when it starts getting into like the time loops and you just end up throwing logic out the window, which is what happens with every time travel story at some point.
Okay, Primer makes sense.
Here's a question: Why is Judi Dench in this movie?
That's a good question.
I think you could ask that of almost all of the major cast members, because all of the major cast members seem, except maybe Asa Butterfield, are wildly miscast. Like Eva Green is given nothing to do in this movie. Judi Dench is giving
but I mean, like, why is Judi Dench's character in this movie?
Terrence Stamp, I think, is miscast.
He's one of the best things in it, I thought.
I know, but even then, like, that's not the Terrence Stamp. I think it kind of gives him very little to do. And then there's, and then let's talk about Sam Jackson as evil Frederick Douglass. I mean,
that's good.
Come on.
I like that.
Like that's.
It's like scenery chewing he can do in his sleep, though.
And Chris O'Dowd
my
goes
God.
to Wales.
Kim Dickens.
Kim Dickens.
Kim Dickens.
10 seconds of Kim Dickens.
Right.
Supposed to be American with the possibly former British father or Polish father that ended up in
Wales.
But then Chris O'Dowd is supposed to be American.
Yeah, and Asa Butterfield also is
right.
British
English.
or whatever. Yeah, it's like
Kim Dickens like literally has a line in
pretty
the
much,
entire
and then
movie.
bye.
Huge waste of a lot of people that we like. Yeah.
I want to see a whole movie about evil Frederick Douglass.
So I gotta say, if you're thinking about bringing children, it is legitimately scary at times.
Yeah.
So Nick has seen a lot of movies in his life. He's almost 7. He's seen Jaws. He's seen Jurassic World and Park. He's seen Raiders.
He saw 9 Lives.
That didn't scare him away. But he's seen Deepwater Horizon, which we will tell you about next. But the first time that you see people with their eyes hollowed out, like the dark, empty circles.
Which it happens early on in the movie.
Or people who have the white eyes. Like he was
there's some
scared. I was like, Mommy, I want to go home. I'm like,
real
I gotta write about this movie, so we can't leave.
There's some real creepy imagery in this movie.
FYI, it looks like it might be made for kids, but it is for older kids, I would say.
I was reading somewhere that apparently the guy who wrote this book spent years going to flea markets and junk shops and buying like creepy old sort of sepia photos.
But also the novelty photos, like the camera trick photos. That's a big part of the story is here's the invisible boy and here's the bee kid and these kind of joke photos, and he was trying to craft the book around that.
Yeah, well, and the original idea was just he wanted to publish the book of photos, and then the publisher was like, oh, no, you should turn this into a novel, which he did. And the movie, I feel, a lot of times would work better as a book of photos. Like, because you're right, there's a lot of cool images. The technical credits are all, unassailable, but the storytelling is terrible.
It's almost like there are too many kids with too many bizarre
Boy, that's
traits.
life, isn't it? Too many kids.
No,
but yeah, they have no personality outside of like, I'm the bee guy, or I'm
Right.
the girl who sets things on fire.
They show up, they do their thing, ta-da, then they leave. And like there's a good solid 15 of them.
It's like a vaudeville troupe.
They're hard to keep track. And so there's no, and there should
Right,
be.
it's one of the messier X-Men movies.
Yeah, it is. But there should be like an underlying kind of melancholy to the fact that they are stuck in this time loop and they are detached from society and they're lonely. Like there should be a sadness to that you never really feel because it's like zip, zip, zip. There's this person, there's that person.
And we know that Burton is capable of doing that,
Yeah.
right? Like he's capable of balancing that. I mean, Edward Scissorhands,
Sure.
a great example
Yeah.
of the sun-drenched community that then has this gothic aspect to it, and it bounces back between sunny Florida and then.
Yeah, and even the Florida suburbs, I was kind of surprised, dismayed at how sort of regular they were. Like, not that they had to be as stylized as Edward Scissorhands, but suburbia has been an ongoing kind of obsession of Burton's, and he usually brings a little flair to it or a little sort of maybe extra level of awfulness or something. I mean, I just did a ranking for the Wrap of all 18 of his
my
feature
God.
films.
What's number one?
Ed Wood. Come on, Ed Wood's the best one. But the weird thing about it is his movies. There's like the great ones and a couple of okay ones, and then the shitty ones, and there are so many shitty ones. And I put this one firmly in that category.
I would agree. So what is your number then?
I had 2.5. I had a very not fun time watching
Yeah,
this.
I'm saying 3. Matt
I
likes
forgot
it.
what I gave it.
You said 5.5.
5.5.
Do you agree
I
with
didn't
that?
hate it. It's not terrible.
Our number's a 3.7. It's really high on the tomato meter, higher than I think it should be.
Yeah, it's about 60% right now on the tomato meter.
It's teetering. So don't see this.
Buyer beware.